Hello and welcome to the November edition of Shropshire Business Live TV. How many shopping days till Christmas?
Don't ask me, I'll leave it till Christmas Eve.
We've got a great show for you today. In fact, we've been out and about all around the county doing all sorts of things. We've got Nick Jones in the studio who's going to be talking pensions later on. We've also been checking in on a conference all about the future of our town centres.
That was an interesting one, wasn't it?
Really interesting. What else have we done, Chris?
Been to the Shropshire Distillery in Ellesmere. We
have, which will be coming up very shortly. I spent a fascinating couple of hours at the Turn Valley Business Park in Market Drayton last week to meet some of the occupants now, which are part of the third phase of the scheme. You might remember in our first series we went up there, so much building work has gone on since. So I met up with a company that tests all sorts of things, products yet to come to market, and they've got these soundproof booths and all sorts of fascinating, weird and wonderful gizmos.
Look forward to watching.
So we've got that as well. We'll be hearing from ACO about their community awards, and we're going to try and fit all of this somehow into about an hour and a quarter for you, aren't we? First, though, of course, well, tell us, Chris, where are we going first?
So we are heading to Ellesmere, to the Shropshire Distillery, to find out a little bit more. Emma Glynn, we're chatting to find out all about the distillery. They only moved in a few weeks ago, didn't they?
3 weeks in, I think. Shropshire's reigning small business of the year, and fair to say they've achieved quite a lot. They've emptied all their boxes.
They have.
They?
Let's take a look.
Well, Emma, great to see you. 3 weeks in, you're saying you've been busy here.
I know, yeah. About 3 weeks we've moved in officially. We got the keys longer than that, about 6 to 8 weeks ago. But we've been mad busy trying to fit the unit out because, as you can imagine, it was just an empty unit. So officially opened about 3 weeks ago. We've had some gin schools, some tours and some cocktail making. So yeah, it's going well so far, but yeah, sleepless nights.
It's like moving house, isn't it? It's one of the most stressful things you can do.
It really is, yeah, and it is like Christmas every day. You keep opening boxes and, you keep finding different things, but we're getting there. We're still...
So what was the reason for the move? Expanding, or did you just need different kinds of premises?
A bit of both, really. So where we built the previous distillery, we were on family land, which was great. It's helped us get to where we are today. But we just wanted to elevate the experience side of the business. We honestly thought that the experience side of the business be a one-off for people. They'd come once and then that'd be it. But actually, people are coming back time and time again for the experiences, doing the gin school or doing just different ones, booking the space out personally just for themselves. So yeah, we wanted to expand that and be in a bit more of a central location, because where we were previously was quite rural. So Uber doesn't exist in Shropshire, as we know anyway, but in rural Ellesmere it was quite difficult. So being closer to town, people can walk into town, use the facilities a lot easier. Yeah,
you've got lots of potential clients on your doorstep now as well, haven't you?
This is it, yeah, and since we moved in 3 or 4 weeks ago, the amount of people that have just popped in, called in to purchase a bottle, when we didn't have that before, so that's much better for us as well.
Take me back to the beginning then. 2018 is when the business was actually founded, isn't it?
It is.
How was it founded? Why was it founded? Because you're not Salopians, are you?
I mean, the accent is probably quite clear. We're Northerners originally, so we're from Lancashire originally as a family. Gareth's parents moved here about 15 years ago. We just had our little girl and we were visiting back and forth. And one day just decided when we were driving home that we were going to sell the house and move from Lancashire to Shropshire. Gareth and I commuted 120 miles every day to work for a good number of years. I worked in education, Gareth was a chemical engineer, and yeah, it got to a point where I started to get into the food and drink scene of Shropshire. I always say where we're from, Wigan, it's quite beige with food and drink. They're called pie eaters, It's all pies and pasties and pints. So Shropshire's really colourful. And I attended a food and drink festival and bought a bottle of gin. Gin has always been our drink of choice. And it was sold to me as made in Shropshire. And when I got it back home, showed Gareth, went through everything with him, and at the time, as a chemical engineer, he was servicing distilleries and breweries across the country, and just burst my bubble and told me it was made in Birmingham, not Shropshire. So
that gave you the bit between your teeth, didn't you? Say, hang on a minute, let's give them something that really is made in Shropshire.
Well, exactly, yeah. Or first of all, it was, well, what is made in Shropshire? And albeit there was products at the time, like you say, not made in Shropshire. So yeah, we thought, well, how hard can it be to open a distillery and make gin? So that's how it started.
So tell me then, how hard is it to open a distillery?
I always say the easy bit is making it, bottling it, that's the easy bit. It's the selling it and the marketing it, that's the hard bit. Like, you know, with every business it's the same.
And for a small business, it's the juggling the two at the same time when you've got the same people that need to be doing both, isn't it?
It is, yeah. So we're a husband and wife team, family business. So predominantly it's myself and Gareth in the business. We do have a team of sales team, marketing team. But we're a family business, and Gareth and I will always be at the forefront because people buy into us as people as well as the business as well.
And I know you'll be far too modest to say, but you are the reigning Shropshire Small Business of the Year. So what does that actually mean to the business? I mean, is it just, does it make you walk a bit taller, or does it actually bring in more business for you?
Both, if I'm honest. Gareth and I, we came to the awards in June, and we both sat there waiting for it to be called out. And when they called our name, the guys around on the table said, we wish we'd have had a camera to see your face, because we both just literally looked at each other and went, it's us. And so we were very overwhelmed with it. We were very pleasantly surprised. And it's just elevated it, and you know, people are recognising us that perhaps didn't know about us before, because as much as we've been established since 2018, I still think there's a lot of people that don't know about us. So yeah, for us it's elevated, and it's opened doors, opportunities, and different links with different businesses. And
we should say, in terms of links with businesses, you're already collaborating with lots of other businesses, aren't you? We've got Wenlock Spring on our show a little bit later on today, and you use them, don't you?
We do, yeah. So we love to work with local businesses, and I always say we're very transparent and open with what we do, and we always say we would love all of our ingredients, all of our botanicals to be Shropshire, if not from the UK, but unfortunately some of them are just not. So where we can, we do push for locals. So our spring vodka, for example, is called spring vodka because we use the spring water from Wenlock Spring to blend with the alcohol. And then our tea and coffee liqueurs, we use Aroma Tea and Coffee in Shrewsbury. So yeah, we collaborate with lots of different people and companies like James at Wild Shropshire as well.
I know you're going to give Chris a bit of a tour of the premises in a minute though. So it's a final question, I guess, from me is, what next? You know, what now? I know you don't want to run before you walk in and you're still unpacking boxes, but what are your hopes for the business?
So we want to continue doing what we're doing and continue doing it well. So our gin schools and our experiences, we're looking to expand those, offer them on more days as well. So predominantly they've only ever been on a Saturday. So we're starting to introduce Friday events as well, and then different events. So we've got like wreath making going on next week as well. So, you know, expanding on that side of the business. And then we've got plans for new products next year as well. So new equipment, bigger equipment, and different products as well.
You've got an exclusive for us then, new products. What can you tell us? Sounds exciting.
It is exciting because, again, it's working with another local company, Shropshire-based company, but
can't tell me, can you?
No,
You can't
I
tell
can't
me,
at the moment, no, but it's exciting, yeah.
Great to catch up with you. Thanks very much.
No, thank you so much.
3 individual sensors, optical, heat, and carbon monoxide, combined in one alarm for the ultimate fire and CO response. Introducing the EI3030, the next evolution in home life safety. Maximising coverage, whilst making installation simpler, easier and future-proof with the Easy Fit base. The EI3030 multi-sensor fire and carbon monoxide alarm is available to order now. Safety first. Eco first.
So time now for our Ask the Experts for our November show. Nick Jones is back in the studio with us. Welcome, Nick. I almost feel like we all got ourselves in lots of excitement last week about the Chancellor's autumn statement. There was all these headlines about what might be included, what might not be included. Yep. Then it was almost a story of what never happened, wasn't it, a bit?
Yeah, we're used to that really, and we talk and we build up, and the speculation in about, so this is going to change, inheritance tax is going to do this, they're going to do away with that. And actually there were some tweaks, there were some big changes, but not a lot that was foreseen, and not a lot that affects people massively.
Mm-hmm. But we're going to talk pensions specifically, aren't we, today? Because I think you were just telling us off air, you're having quite a few in-depth discussions with people at the moment about these.
Yeah. So we offer quite a range of financial advice, but sometimes you go through phases where you speak to a lot of people about the same sort of questions, and sometimes it's because you're coming up towards the end of the year and people are thinking about, well, what am I going to do next year? If they're approaching retirement, or they're an employer and they've got lots of employees who are asking them questions about the pension scheme, sometimes they'll get somebody like me in and just go in and have a chat to everybody as a little group, and then have one-to-one sessions if people require them afterwards. So I've done that a couple of times the last few weeks, so it's all relevant.
That must be hard though, because you've no idea if you with a big group of people. Some people might have a fairly in-depth knowledge of how pensions actually work. Some people might not have a clue.
Absolutely, yeah. That keeps it exciting, to be fair. Keeps it interesting. You never know what you're going to get asked. It's like, well, here, really, you rarely know which direction the conversation is going to go. And thinking on your feet is helpful, but with a bit of experience, you can see you've heard most questions and you've answered most things. And sometimes if they are ones that stump you because they're a bit technical, you can take it away and find a geek in a cupboard somewhere that will know the answers.
Everybody needs a geek in a cupboard sometimes,
Absolutely,
don't they?
yeah.
Now, you've picked out 6 particular questions, haven't you, here for us today, which you are commonly being asked.
Yeah,
so,
a bit of a flavour, yeah.
So let's have a look at the first 2. Here, the first 2. I mean, this is really sort of basic stuff, isn't it, for people? What actually is a pension? Because there's more than one kind of pension, isn't there, as well?
Yeah, there are lots of types of pension. This question came fundamentally from someone who was in their 20s, in one of these workplace scenarios, and had talked to the family about pensions in the past. Their family history of pensions hadn't been great, so she was under the impressions that pensions were rubbish, pensions were dangerous, pensions were to be avoided, because the family had issues with pensions in the 80s and 90s. Very different world these days, but hopefully after the hour that we spent as a group, she understood them a lot more. And basically, it's a pot that you're saving for whilst you're working, that in the retirement, or when you decide you want to draw income other than working for it, you've got somewhere you can call on some money. It's very tax efficient to do. It's very tax efficient because the government want you to have your own provision. They don't want you to be relying on pension credits in retirement. So the more you've got put by for the future, the less likely to be a strain. It won't necessarily affect your state pension. That's very much protected, but very much part of being informed and educated. And it really, it's just a pot that you can pull on in the future. But some real good tax advantages when you're putting money in. And
there was a little bit in the budget, wasn't there, around some rules and regulations about making it easier to pool pensions together, wasn't there, or something?
Yeah.
Because lots of people have different bits of pension pots if they've moved jobs lots of times.
Yeah. I had a gent come in the office this morning who was referred on a golf course from another client, which was fantastic. You know, we always ask where people find out about us.
That's why you play golf, isn't it? Okay.
Well, I wasn't playing golf with him. He was playing with the client at the weekend, and he said, "Oh, who do you use?" I said, "I use Nick." And so anyway, he came in to see us. He's exactly the type of person you're talking about. He's got 4 or 5 old pension plans, different providers, Reassure, Aviva, Scottish Widows. I think you could kind of check the list there. Standard Life was another one, I think. And some of them he's still paying into because he's still working, although he's 66. He carried on working. And the others haven't been paid into for a long time. And his question is, what can I do? What shouldn't I do? What does it look like going forward? If I do retire next May, which is he's thinking, then how much can I get out and how's it all going to look? Because very much the access has changed massively. 2014-15, it used to be before that you build a pot and then at that stage you say, do I want some tax-free cash, yes or no? You can have up to a quarter, and then the rest would be used to buy you an annuity, so buy you income for life. You're relying on shopping around, getting a good deal. If you're poorly at that time, or overweight, or you've got a shortened life expectancy, it was actually a positive. Sounds weird, but you would get more because you were due to pull on the pot for a shorter length of time, so you get a higher annuity rate. With people living much longer, and generally interest rates were poor at that point, annuities fell out of favour because you'd need a much larger pot to get a realistically useful income. So 2014-15, the rules were changed that now you don't have to do the annuity thing. You can actually just draw down a little bit each year to suit your income requirements, and that's called drawdown. And
you can still take 25% tax-free. Is it the age of 55, is it?
Yeah, from 55 currently. Yeah. It's going to 57 from 2028. But you're right, you can take the lump sum still up front if you want it. If people don't need a lump sum from the pot, they don't have to take it all in one go. They can take a quarter of their income every year, tax-free. So they decide, okay, this year, for example, round numbers, you want 16,000 a year. First 4,000 is 25% of it, that's tax-free. The other 12,000 is within your personal allowance. So you're paying no tax on 16,000. So that's quite a nice starting
It
point.
is a bit, isn't it?
Yeah, that is a
Yeah.
nice starting point. We
Yeah.
like the no tax bit, don't we?
Absolutely, yeah. It's using advantages. And actually, if you've got various pots, the job of a good advisor nowadays is to have a chat with clients in retirement, in drawdown. Well, how much do you need in total, net? Which pot should it come from? So you've got a pension pot over there, you've got ISAs over there, you've got cash, you might have investment properties. What's the tax on each one,
Yeah.
and how can we reduce or minimise the tax that you're paying on that income?
You mentioned that young person. I was going to say, at that starting out when they're younger, that is, I guess, a good time to get advice, and it's to set you up for the future.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, the workplace rules that came in and the auto-enrolment that's gone through the last few years now, most young people have a pension. They're talking about them being able to join earlier as well, because it was from 21, it was prescribed. The sooner people pay in, the better. Even if they can't pay much in because they've got other needs, and they're probably going out more, they might not have mortgages yet, but they might have mortgages, they might have young families. So the money that they're putting in nowadays is actually going to be invested for a long, long time. So if you're 25 and you're not going to pull out until 65, you've got 40 years for that money to be invested. And the growth on the growth, the compounding up effect, it really makes it worthwhile putting as much as people can in when they're younger. Although it's probably the least glamorous thing they'll ever do with their money, because it's a value on a piece of paper and it's not very exciting.
No.
You talk about what you're going to do when you're 60, I don't know, that's old people. You know.
It's a bit
Yeah.
pensions, making a will, it's all those kind of things you always think, oh, that's for the future.
Yeah,
Yes,
do that at another point, that when I get a bit older. Yeah.
But then for so many people, as you get older, you get to your mid-40s or 50s and you think, I wished I'd have done that if you haven't done it
Yeah.
already. So.
Yeah, a lot of people come to us mid-50s and
Yeah.
say, I've now got 10 years, is it too late? Well, it's not too late. You're going to start off with a smaller pot than if you've been ploughing money in earlier, and you won't have had the growth on the growth because you've started later maybe, or you've only paid a smaller amount in. But it's still a good time, as long as you've got more than sort of 5 years plus, you can make a difference, because there's a lot of flexibility on how you pay in, and now the flexibility of drawing down as well, so there's lots of advantages. So it's never really too late, although the financial value at the end will be impacted by how much you paid in and how long for.
And the second part of the question really falls onto that, with all the flexibility is great,
Yep.
but depending on people's aptitude of risk, they're giving a lot of money or they're trusting somebody with
Yeah.
a big pot of money. Are pensions safe?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. So going back to that conversation with the young lady whose family had had bad experience with pensions, the rules very much are different than those days. So it used to be there were some high-profile schemes that fell over, and people who've worked all their lives and put their hard-earned money into these things were left without a pension pot because the scheme had fallen over. Nowadays, there's a significant insurance policy in place, and 100% of your pension value is protected if the company holding the money falls over. So, it's a government act, it's a national scheme that the providers pay into. They pay a levy, and then if somebody, as I say, someone has serious problems, there's money there to be able to bail them out, and it's not worth the government letting schemes fall over these days, because they want people to be encouraged to pay in. Yeah. So there's a lot more, and whereas with cash and ISAs and these sorts of things, you've got 85,000 cap. This is unlimited, so the pension value unlimited.
Does that apply as well? I mean, if you're lucky enough to be have any kind of one of these final salary pension schemes, which are like gold dust, aren't they, these days?
They are.
If they disappear for whatever reason, is the protection the same for them as well?
It's a different sort of protection. It's not 100% of the value you would have got. It's a pension protection scheme that's in place for that one, a PPF, and with them you get a percentage of what you would have got if the scheme was okay. But it's still not going to fall over, you're not going to lose entirely, but the pension protection fund is there, and effectively your trustees are replaced, and the administration of the scheme is taken over by somebody else. But again, it's more protection than there ever was. I think it's 66% of the pot you're entitled to is guaranteed. But again, so the personal pensions side, we talk about defined benefits and defined contribution.
That's it, yeah.
In 2006, I started doing with St James's Place 2004. 2006, pension simplification became a thing. And we still chuckle about it now.
Do you feel it's simplified?
It's much simpler, yeah. So what they did, they had one set of rules, but then you've got 30, 40 different individual types of pension that now will have to adhere to these rules. So it still takes a bit of a job to work out what's right for an individual pot. So we do chuckle about it. There's not much to laugh about in pensions. But
I don't know. Let's have a look. What's the next two questions we've got here? Yeah, so this is an important one as well. How much can you actually pay in? If you do think, right, pensions are the way for me.
Yeah, so on an individual level, £60,000 per year is the most you can pay in individually, or 100% of your earnings. So if you don't earn more than £60,000, you're capped. If you earn 25,000, for example, 25,000 is the most you can pay in. That's including the tax relief. So if it's a personal contribution, you pay a net amount and it gets grossed up by the tax relief. If you're paying it through the business, then the business pays it as a business expense. So it's like the business paying an invoice, but it's coming into your pension pot. So for business owners, it's fantastic. So that's a 60,000 limit. If you haven't paid the full 60,000 for the previous years, or the full allowance for the previous years, because it used to be 40,000, so you get a little bit more complication, simplification again, remember? So 60,000 for this year. If you hadn't paid the full 40,000 for the last 3 years, there's another 120,000.
So you can top up and retrospectively claim it, can you? Right.
But once you've paid the maximum for those previous years, you can't do that going forward. Effectively, the one from 4 years ago drops off, and then you've got the last 3 years. So if we're sitting here next year, we'd be talking about the last 3 years. So I do it on a little diagram, to be fair, with the client. But most people haven't made their full contributions. The maximum went up, as I say, in April from 40,000 to 60,000. So we've got people paying monthly. They've increased the regular, and that's been going in each month and making sure they hit the total amount. But if we've got a business owner who's coming up to a sale or has just gone through a business sale and an exit, and they're sitting with a lump of cash, pensions are a really good home for some of that, especially when they understand the flexibility. So they can be putting it in tax-free and they can be pulling it out, but actually manage their tax bill.
I mean, given what's happened with the economy over the last couple of years, 3 or 4 years, investments have been up, down, unpredictable. So I guess a lot of people who get annual pension statements through in the post might have seen the value of their pot reduce over the last couple of years. What should they be thinking about that? Should that be an alarm bell? Should they still think, well, should I still be paying into this then? Or?
It's an interesting time, because for a long time you didn't get any interest at all in the bank account. So you get 0.5% or something, and so people knew they had to invest to get the money working a bit harder. Not just pensions, but ISAs and savings and premium bonds, whatever, taking a little bit of risk to get a bit more return. With the statements, and we're coming up to statement season, aren't we, really, between now and the end of the year, and into January probably we'll have annual statements. A lot of people will have been paying in across all providers. It's not limited to any particular provider. If it's invested in a medium risk pot, it's probably got 60% in equities, 40% in less risky stuff, fixed interest and alternative investments or whatever. And generally, that's been a sticky place to have invested for the last couple of years. You know, you might have sideways markets, even if you're spreading it around, even if you're diversifying, even if you're doing all the things that we know you should do. If you've got 1 or 2 funds and they're specifically in the UK or just the US or something, you're going to exaggerate either the up or the down. So we would always advocate having a spread to reduce your risk, because you don't know, hand on heart, what's going to be the best assets for next year. So by having a spread, you'll have some of the best, you'll have some of the poorer, and then we can tweak them as things go. So
this is maybe a complicated question that is a debate for another day, but does it also depend on how much time you've got to go before you're due to draw your pension down, as to what approach you take for that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's a good point. So the timeline that you've got to invest, the longer you've got to go, the more risk you can take short term, and the less it matters what happens today or tomorrow. Because if it's our young lady who's 25 and she's got 40 years to go, being adventurous makes a lot of sense, because being in equities, being in some of the best companies in the world for the next 35 years probably, it's going to produce some fantastic things. Actually, near's the time when you're going to draw down from the money, maybe reduce the risk of it and maybe spread it around a little bit more. But we do have people who think, actually, I'm medium risk. I think I'm medium risk in everything I do. But you're not accessing the pot, you're right, for maybe 20 years or 15 years, and then you can reduce the risk as time goes. What we do know, though, is that the more inequities in a portfolio, the bigger the dips, deeper the dips, and the higher the rises. So they've got to be comfortable. They can sleep at night. If it's something middle of the road, it'll still go up and down, but it will be less of an up and less of a down.
Have you found people's approach to risk, attitude to risk has changed since COVID? Have people become more cautious? You know, if you do an annual audit with them, if they were medium risk 5 years ago, might some of them be more cautious now? Or?
It could be. Sometimes I think because there's so much more information out there now, and people have got apps and they've got, you know, they can log in online at your website and you can look at evaluation, not just with us, but all providers are doing it nowadays. Sometimes people look too frequently. So, you know, we've got an app and you could look every day. It changes once a day. It doesn't show you the hourly movements as the value actually change. But actually, is that healthy if you're not going to be drawing on the funds for 15 years? I think it's probably sometimes too much information. And then you feel, actually, it's gone down. You know, the valuation, the statements showing that I paid money in every month and I've got less than I had this time last year, I've wasted money. I shouldn't have done it. I should have put it in the bank. But actually, you've been buying units. So if the unit price is lower, you get more units each month. So you're sitting here now with more units than you would have had. And when they do rise in the future, which they will, then you'll have more. So actually putting money in now is perfect. Sounds counterintuitive. Feels a bit weird. Someone like myself who's putting money in and wanting an amount at a point in the future, I'm actually sort of rubbing my hands now and thinking, well, volatility is my friend. It's the price you pay for good long-term returns. And I can be adventurous because I'm 52.
It's only because people are having this conversation now because they're suddenly seeing interest rates are higher and they can get more than they have done for a generation sticking it in a building society.
Absolutely, yeah. So if I put it in the bank, it was 4%, I could have got safely in the bank, or my portfolio is kind of level to where it was. So I've wasted time almost. But you're right, but the interest rates are short term, so they will be coming down in the future, as will interest rates on the bank accounts, as well everything else. So that what you're paying on your mortgages, they will all come down because they've been high, historically high recently, haven't they? Not historically high if you go back far enough, but a lot of viewers and a lot of people who haven't had mortgages for very long think this is high.
Think they've never known anything like it. Can't believe it. I saw the governor of the Bank of England saying this week thinks rates might be staying higher a bit longer than everybody thought. So
Well,
uncertainty.
it's managing expectations, isn't it?
It is. Let's have a look at our last two questions, then, shall we? So, now here we go. How much can you get? I mean, we've touched on this one a little bit already, haven't we?
Yeah. So the flexibility is the key, really. So it's more about the pattern of how you take the money out rather than how much going to get out. We say the safe withdrawal rate is about 4%. So if you've got a pot of 100,000 and you'll draw 4,000 a year, the 100,000 pot should regenerate itself and should be back up to that value this time next year. That thereabouts, and then that'll mean you never run out of money. Sometimes people say, you know what, I want to spend more sooner, so they draw out more sooner. Draw it out as tax efficiently as possible, but we try and make sure that they understand the longer term impact of taking too much out too soon. And if they take a quarter out up front tax free because they can, you've only got 75% then that can give you their income for the rest of your life. You've got more risk. But the pattern is fascinating, and then it's when people have then a jigsaw of other assets they can draw from, and then the advice, the value that we can add is making sure it's as tax efficient as possible. And some people now have got money in a pension pot, because it's free from inheritance tax, it's in a trust, that's the last asset they're going to spend. So a lot of our clients have got other things that they're spending first. So they're spending from their IHT estate rather than from their IHT-free estate. And that much better long-term planning.
When the government first announced this idea that you can draw, a quarter of your pot tax-free, I remember, did they call it the Lamborghini tax?
They were worried.
This theory, everybody was just going to go out and blow it on ridiculous things. It didn't really happen, though, did it?
It didn't happen. Some people used the ability, and they were taking out 100% of the pot, weren't they? So 25% was tax-free, and then the rest was taxable at their full rate. So they might receive, 50% net or something after they've paid all the tax on it. But you're right, there were people with 10, 15, 20,000 in a pot that just took that out as a lump sum. They were changing the windows. They were doing home improvements and things because they probably hadn't had access to that sort of lump sum before. And the pension was never going to provide them a massive income in the future at that sort of size. So it was actually, why not take it and why not do something with it? So, but a lot of those people have already done what they were going to do. I don't think the sales of Lamborghinis went up too much to do with pensions, but that was the fear. No. No, just your neighbours.
Yeah, absolutely. And ending on a nice positive note, Nick, what happens if I die?
Actually, being positive, that shouldn't say if I die.
Because it's going to happen.
We're all going to die. So it should say what happens when I die. But if you're in the drawdown situation, so you haven't bought an annuity, then the value that's left in the pot can be inherited by a spouse, free from tax, the inheritance bit. If your spouse has already passed on or you're not married, then it can go to your next of kin, to your children and things. You fill in an expression of wish form, and it can go down the family line like that. Talked to this guy this morning. I explained to him how this works, and he was thinking he had to do the annuity thing and he would lose it all if he died. But it was a relief to hear this is now the rule. But also he's got a grandson who's 5 years old who may well be the holder of this pension if it is that the money passes that way and his children don't run out of money, sort of thing. So it's fascinating. But the old annuity thing, you would have done the deal, pass away, no death benefits. So when people die, it's much fairer, really.
Fascinating to chat to you, as ever, Nick. If you guys have got any questions on a financial matter, whether it's pensions or anything else, I'm sure Nick would be happy to tackle them on a future show. So drop us a line, info@sbltv.co.uk, or contact us through our social media channels, or indeed go straight to Nick. He's a very friendly man. So look forward to seeing you soon, and great to see you again, Nick. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
A new initiative to encourage inward investment and raise the profile of Shrewsbury as a great place to do business will be launched in the new year. The Work in Shrewsbury programme will include a national...
Just like a couple of beats and then in. Okay.
Okay.
Going for take.
A new initiative to encourage inward investment and raise the profile of Shrewsbury as a great place to do business will be launched in the new year. The Work in Shrewsbury programme will include a national campaign to promote the benefits of living and working in the town, as well as providing resources to retain young talent and help existing businesses to grow. The campaign, which has received over £300,000 from the government through the UK Shared Prosperity Fund, will centre around a new Work in Shrewsbury online platform highlighting inspiring case studies and also delivering a programme of masterclass events. Now, a former apprentice who became a senior human resource consultant in just 3 years has scooped a National Young Businesswoman of the Year award at a ceremony in London. 28-year-old Alicia Skett from Telford successfully completed a 2-year apprenticeship with the HR department in Shropshire before being promoted to a leading role as a senior HR consultant in 2023, working with local SMEs across the county. Speaking about her award, Alicia said she was absolutely thrilled and totally surprised with the national recognition. And finally, Apley Estates wedding venue has won a prestigious wedding industry award. Stockton House, situated on the Shropshire-based estate, received the accolade of Best Venue Other at the recent Wedding Industry Awards that celebrates all aspects of supplies to the wedding industry across the UK. Stockton House and its team will now go on to compete in the national finals, which will take place in London in January. That's the latest business news. We'll have more a little later in the show.
I'm here to talk to you today about the Higher National Diploma Healthcare Professions Support. Higher National Diploma has been awarded HTQ status and has been designed against occupational standards within the NHS amongst other employers, meaning by completing the H&D you already have the requirements to enter the job of your dreams. The courses are aimed at adult learners aged 18 plus who have recently left education, completing qualifications in the healthcare field, or professionals working in the healthcare sector who are looking to upskill or change roles within their career. So a HTQ is an alternative progression route into higher education. The course costs are significantly reduced in comparison to full-time university fees, and the studying takes place locally on site at Telford College in our state-of-the-art healthcare academy. Students will be given a placement mentor who can support them with their role both in the hospitals or during placement and on site here at Telford College, with personalised learning plans tailored specifically for students' needs. There are also a range of careers available, such as occupational therapy assistant practitioners, operating department assistant practitioners, maternity care assistants, community care assistants, and prehabilitation and rehabilitation.
I love Telford College because it's very accessible to myself, and I also like the inclusive learning. So like for example, the hospital ward, because it helps everyone else like myself also understand what it will be like when you actually go out on placements. The teachers are very, very helpful. If you don't understand, they will re-go through it again. They will give you extra support.
We're in our virtual and augmented reality suite. We have software which is linked to all our curriculum areas, boasting some of the latest innovation, especially around the healthcare setting, where we worked with the NHS to develop some clinical scenarios. Our students can access all this technology in different ways. So through our immersive headsets, they can be immersed into these scenarios where they can get a real feel of what they're trying to learn. Caves where you can be immersed with multiple people in that scenario so it feels like you're actually there. Through to a bit more augmented technology where it will help you guide you through different scenarios with teacher-led learning.
We have lots of different clubs and activities, things like driving theory, sign language clubs. There are also sports you can take part in, so recreational or competitive. And on-site facilities, we have a gym that students can use free of charge, 2 catering outlets that students can access, and of course Starbucks, which is discounted from high street prices.
Applying couldn't be easier. You can just go on our website, open an account and follow the simple steps. If you have any queries about any courses along the way, you can contact a member of our Student Services team, or alternatively you can visit one of our many open evenings and open events and you can chat to members of the staff.
Now, a few weeks ago, Carl and I went along to the Shrewsbury Museum and Art Gallery where there was a talk on about the future of our high streets here in Shropshire. Carl had a chat to one of those that was talking, OJ MacDonald. Let's take a look at what they had to chat about.
So OJ, welcome to Shropshire. Before we get into some of the debates that we've talked about this morning, just explain what your job actually involves.
So I'm the chief executive of an organisation called the Association of Town and City Management. It's a bit of a mouthful, but basically what we do is our body looks after those people who are the guardians of high streets, town centres and city centres across the UK and Ireland. So they will be local authorities, they'll be business improvement districts, they'll be property owners, and basically they will look to see what they can do around supporting high street retail, creating a pleasant environment for people, really trying to attract footfall, encourage spend, putting on great events, and we'll support them in terms of sharing best practice, understanding common problems, working with policymakers and sort of bridging that gap between policymakers nationally and our members working locally, so that there's good understanding at both sides.
And do there tend to be common problems, north, south, east, west? Is it the same things people are talking about?
There are some problems which are unique to specific centres, but there's so much of it which is absolutely common. Sometimes even globally, which we'll see working with our international partners as well. So you think about some of the changes that are happening in terms of the retail sector and how online is completely changing the game. An organisation like Amazon is, of course, global. So, you know, that poses a challenge everywhere. Challenges like antisocial behaviour or car parking, for example. We've just come through a pandemic which was global. There are so many of these problems which happen everywhere. So to have a network like ours where different people can get together and share experiences becomes vital.
And we've been talking in the seminar earlier about how the days of each town having like a big anchor retailer and everything else builds around it. That's gone, hasn't it, really, now?
It's in dire straits. So you see some of the big stores disappearing all the time. I mean, Debenhams has been on our high street for decades, might even be a good part of 100 years. That brand's been on our high street, and it's gone. And those pressures are there, and it's a mixture of changing consumer behaviours, obviously online shopping, which makes life much more convenient for some consumers, and then issues around tax as well. So we discussed the issue of business rates, which for big stores with a high footprint, the amount they will have to pay in tax it can be really difficult for them when they've got all these other challenges to manage as well.
It feels to me like people have been talking about reinventing or scrapping or rewriting business rates for decades now, and it never actually quite gets over the line, does it?
No, absolutely. And even though we see a change in business rates as being the way forward because the tax is obsolete, the problem the Treasury has is that finding a nice, easy solution is difficult, almost impossible. Business rates provides money for local government, but we know that local government is under pressure financially. So whatever we move to, we've got to be really careful that it actually works. or else we'll just create other problems for ourselves. You know, we've discussed things like an online sales tax. That's not necessarily that easy to implement, and it's not a silver bullet. So there's lots to take in.
Leasing anything online is tough, isn't it, to be honest?
It absolutely is. It absolutely is, and it's a challenge. And I think one of the things we're seeing in terms of the high street is not only does the high street need to catch up to make sure it is able to adapt to what's happening online and digitally, but it's the same with our rules, regulations, our tax system as well. All of that needs to be able to catch up to support high streets on that journey.
So for town centres to reinvent themselves for the future, there's lots of different stakeholders that have all got to buy into the same thing at the same time, haven't they? I'm thinking, for example, particularly the landlords and the tenants. Are they on the same page at the moment, do you think?
So there's always differences, and I think you go into any town, there are so many different stakeholders with so many different needs that it can be a challenge to bring everybody together. But for us, there are things we need to think about doing, such as making sure we can be flexible in terms of how town centres evolve with the times, making sure we can create great social experiences, making sure we can create great mixed-use centres which are resilient to change. But in order to deliver any of that, partnership, it's essential. We need property owners, we need the community, we need businesses, we need local government, you know, transport operators, whoever it might be, all round the table working together to a common vision for positive change.
And in a predominantly rural county like Shropshire, you know, if you take Telford and Shrewsbury out of the mix, so it's small to medium market towns, do they pose different kinds of challenges?
Absolutely, but not necessarily challenges. What I would see in these kinds of market towns, there's opportunities there which a lot of other areas don't have. A lot of things around history and heritage, which I think you simply cannot replicate through the digital economy, which can be a real draw, whether it's for local residents or for the visitor economy.
And finally, what have you taken away from this event today?
Oh, it's been fabulous. I tell you what, hearing about the case studies from the Printworks and the Orbit, it's great. It just reaffirms the work we do at a national level. Loved hearing about the Shrewsbury master plan as well, the potential Riverside development, which is out to consultation at the moment. Really exciting, really great schemes. And I think for us, we do so much work nationally with policymakers on telling people how things are and what we need, the types of policies we need to take town centres forward. It's always great to be at an event like this to see what's happening on the ground and how some of that is being put into practice with some really great schemes. So I've loved it. It's been great.
Well, we look forward to welcoming you back to Shropshire sometime very soon.
Oh, can't wait. I can't wait.
Thanks for your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
So that was, OJ McDonald from the Association of Town Centre Management. Fascinating debate and a really interesting event that was at Shrewsbury's Museum a few weeks ago. Well, it's time now to head off to our friends at ACO in Oswestry, who've always got lots going on. This month they want to tell us all about the launch of their community awards and specifically a new Apprentice of the Year search. If you're a Shropshire company with a star apprentice, they want to hear from you. Let's find out why. Well, we've come up here to North Shropshire today to meet up with our friends from ACO, Alex Garmston, the marketing manager. Marketing, from your point of view, I mean, it's so many broad different things you get involved in.
Yes, yeah. So marketing at ACO isn't your traditional marketing role. We get involved in events, social media, website, PR, running the Centre of Excellence here. So we're in the technical workshop today where we host a number of events during the course of the year.
And last time we came up here, there was youngsters everywhere because all the school holiday activities were going on. It was an absolute hive of activity.
Yes.
That must be great fun to organise.
Oh, it was, and a great credit to the CSR team we have. So we had a summer club for kids during the summer, which was a great success. They got involved in stuff in the warehouse, where we were packing boxes, a boxing challenge, and obviously they were involved in the community garden outside and with the chickens. So they had, loads of fun.
Yes, I met the chickens last time I came up. Two specific things though to talk about today. One of which is the return of your community awards, which we'll talk about in a minute. But specifically this new Apprentice of the Year competition that you've launched. Tell us all about it.
Yes, so ACO, one of our key goals is education. So we're big on training. So we run training for installers all over the country, and obviously City and Guilds training here in Oswestry. But we wanted to do something more for apprentices. So we've introduced the Apprenticeship of the Year Award, which is going to tie into the Community Awards next year. So essentially we want people to apply, and then they'll be shortlisted, and then they'll take part in a practical session next year in JTL Centre in Birmingham. So after that practical session, they'll get shortlisted to 6, and then those 6 people will be put forward to the Community Awards where a winner will be chosen.
And that's a great night, isn't it?
Yes,
So, I mean, that's a real thing, a memorable thing to take part in.
Yes.
So what specific, are there particular apprentices that you're looking for? Is it geographically split, or is it sort of...
No. So it's anyone from up and down the country can enter the Apprentice of the Year Award. Mainly electrical apprentices is what we're looking for, obviously to tie in with the sort of fire safety, the alarms you see behind you. But you know, there's no strict criteria. We just want to hear from apprentices how they're getting on, and want them to enter really.
So it doesn't necessarily need to be a company that's maybe had any partnership work with
No,
ACO.
not
It can
at all.
just be, you know, if you've got somebody you're proud of and you want recognising.
Yes, so obviously there's a number of colleges up and down the country that have electrical apprentices, and if they feel, you know, that apprentice is doing well, you know, we encourage them to put them forward. You don't have to be associated to ACO or done work with ACO in the past. We just want apprentices to apply and, you know, promote the work they're doing.
Because apprentices are a huge part of this business here, aren't they? Always have been.
Yes, yeah. So we have a rolling apprenticeship scheme. Our current workforce is about 10% apprentices that have gone on to full-time employment with us. And more recently, we've started doing more apprenticeship courses with the EDA, Electrical Distribution Association. So we're doing some apprenticeships around data at the moment. So we have 9 colleagues throughout the business have just started a new apprenticeship, even though they might have completed previous apprenticeships. So yeah, training's a big thing for us.
And there's progression proof here, isn't there, as well, that you start as an apprentice and you can see how people have already started.
Yes, we've had numerous colleagues that have completed an apprenticeship, started off in one role and moved throughout the company. I mean, you know, Matt, the commercial and finance director, so he started as an apprentice in the warehouse.
Man and boy, isn't he?
Man and boy now, so he's been here, you know, 20 years, and you know, his trajectory for the company has been great, and it encourages younger people to see that and, you know, inspire to that and move forward.
So what's in it for ACO in terms of actually running the Apprentice of the Year competition? What's the benefit to the business?
I think it's just, 1, brand awareness, and 2, as I said, we're big on education. We want to award people for the effort they put in to their education, to their future. But also these electrical apprentices will be, you know, electricians of the future that will be installing our kit. We want them to be familiar with the ACO brand. We want them to succeed. So it's just about supporting them on their journey.
So let's get to the important bits then. How do people enter? What's the deadline? When does it all start?
Yeah, so people can enter through the website. If you go on the website, there'll be a banner on the homepage. You click on that. There'll be a download link to the form. Just fill out the form. I think there's like 3 questions. Obviously, the key details being their name and what they're currently studying.
That's a good start, isn't it?
Good start, yeah. So we make sure we get all the details correct. And the deadline is the 1st of January.
Excellent. So basically, end of the year, have your Christmas dinner, make sure you've finished all the dotted the I's, crossed the T's, get it off. Instead of booking a holiday on Boxing Day, get your apprenticeship entry in.
Ideally, and it's not a big form. You know, we wanted to make it straightforward and easy to enter. So yeah, it should be fairly straightforward.
So then you've got your final apprentices, the ones that you really want to shout about, going to the Community Awards.
Yes.
For anyone who hasn't been, I had the pleasure of hosting your last Community Awards, and what a fabulous night at the ICC it was. Is that what it's going to be again? What's the plan?
Yes. So the plan is to do it at the ICC again next year. So the 18th of April is the awards. It's a Thursday. I believe we've got you as host again, Carl. We've booked you in early, so we don't want to miss out on you. But yeah, essentially it'll be similar to the setup last year, except we've added 2 additional categories. So there was 11 the first year. We've gone for 13 this year. So we've got the Apprentice of the Award, Apprentice of the Year Award category, and we've got a collaborative partnership category to add to the current 11 categories. Hoping for 300 people, which will be an increase on last time. There'll be entertainment. We'll have a guest speaker. Obviously, previously we had George Clark.
I'll always remember George, because Ed Clancy was there,
yes,
wasn't he?
George
Clark was
yes.
there, and I always remember trying to keep things under control when George Clark decided he wanted to ride Ed Clancy's bike around the ICC.
Yes, yeah.
I wasn't expecting that.
No, I wasn't expecting that either. I think he got a bit excited. He didn't have a helmet on either, so...
health and safety nightmares.
Yes, but yeah, hopefully the entertainment will be as good as that next year, and it should be a great event.
And people, I mean, you had people from all over the UK, didn't
yes.
you, coming to this? So.
Yeah, all over the UK. It'll be the same again. So the the awards are open to enter now. Same way through the Apprentice of the Year Awards, you can enter through the website. The closing date for that is a little bit later, so that's the end of February, with nominations being announced early March, ready for April.
And then what happens once you've entered? Do you get judged? Do you get shortlisted? Do you get visited? How does it work?
There's no visits, so it's not like the Shropshire Business Awards where we go out and visit every business. It'd be a bit difficult up and down the country.
That's what I was thinking, yeah.
So no, there's a panel of judges, 6 judges in total. So once all the entries come in, the judging panel will take a look, rank them, and then we'll pick 6 for each category. So last time we had over 400 entries across 11 categories. So it was a lot for the judges to take in, but we're hoping for the same amount this time.
What are the top tips then that you would maybe give to people, whether it's the Apprentice of the Year Award or any of the other community awards, if they want to try to get shortlisted? What are you looking for?
Just be straightforward, I think. Be clear, concise in what your project is or what you're doing. Additional information is always good, so there is the option to add additional information. So for apprentices, if there's any certificates or photos of their work, that'd be really good to see. For award entries, it's just supplying those sort of testimonials or pictures or any data you can supply to accompany that awards and make it accurate.
It's as ever, isn't it, with awards? Make sure you've done your homework, read the instructions, and give people what they're asking for.
Yeah, so the biggest one is word count. I look at enter awards ourselves from a marketing point of view. When it says 500 words maximum, that's not 100 words, 200 words. Try and use the full allocation to get your point across. I think last time round we saw a lot of entries that had like 150 words in a 500 word sort of question. So yeah, one of the big things is to use the word allocation, I think.
But also, and having sat in a shortlisting panel for various awards over the years, don't go the other way. And when it says 500 words, it doesn't mean 1,500 words.
Yes.
Stick to your limits.
Yeah,
as well,
it's not like a university assessment where you get that 10%. When it says 500, it is actually 500, yes.
So in terms of, and then once you've actually picked your winners, do you still stay in sort of partnership with them then? Once, looking back at your community award winners from a couple of years ago, what's happened to them in terms of the relationship with them?
Yeah, no, we still stay in touch. A lot of them are key clients of ours or become key clients on the back of that. I think it's a good relationship builder. And yeah, I should imagine a lot of them will enter again this year. But hopefully we'll have different winners, but you never know what it's like winning awards.
Always a good sign if people want to enter awards again, that it's been a competition that's been good for them, because there's got to be something in it for them, hasn't there?
Of course it has, yeah. And obviously the award stemmed from wanting to reward people for work in the community and the work they do with us, but also, yeah, the work they do in the wider communities they serve. So.
Yeah. And finally, Alex, been a good year for ACO, has it? Another good year?
Yeah, really, really good year. Been busy as ever. Obviously more events here. We've done regional road shows up and down the country. I know the Christmas parade's coming up in Oswestry, and at the moment there's a lot of people building floats. That's apparently top secret. So yeah, really busy year.
Got any budding Father Christmases in the building?
One or two that have got a cherry, merry cherry laugh. Yeah, and probably look good in a red suit. But yeah, probably not Neil.
Well, I don't know, he likes to be a man in the community, doesn't he?
He does, yeah, we're still working on that. We might get him in a red suit, we never know.
Absolutely. Well, great to see you, as ever. And the message, I guess, to Shropshire businesses is, look, this awards competition being run by ACO, and I'm sure you want, Alex, don't you, as many Shropshire companies to fly the flag for the counties.
Yes, please do. Durham College were one of the winners last time round, so it shows how local it is. So yeah, please do apply.
Great to see you again. Thanks,
Carl. Thank you.
So we've returned to the Tern Valley Business Park here on the outskirts of Market Drayton. We were last here a couple of years ago, and to be honest, I can't believe how much has happened since then. And John Gwilym, well, you wear 2 different hats, don't you, here? We spoke a couple of years ago. Just to remind us of your roles.
Well, I'm MD of Red Start Construction, and Red Start are the main developer here. And Matrix is our contracting company, and Matrix do all the work for Red Start Construction.
Makes the board meetings a bit quicker, doesn't it?
Absolutely, it's only me.
So, yeah, exactly. And I mean, the evolution of this site, it goes back, well, nearly 10 years it originally started, maybe more.
A little bit more than that, Carl. We've started here with Cranage, and they were on their own in a field for a few years. Then we made the mistake of developing at the rear of Cranage, and a lot of people didn't know we were here. So as it evolved and we sold a few units at a time, we built a few more, we sold a few more, we moved on then to getting up towards 2020 when COVID hit, and the whole thing went mad. And since it started, there's over 110 units on here now.
And am I right in saying pretty much as soon as you build them, they're occupied, aren't they?
They are, and there's a waiting list. If we could have another 5 acres next door, we'd sell those as well.
Is that an option?
No.
So would pretty much, are all the units you can build now pretty much built?
They're all done. The last 8 I'm finishing, they'll be done in about 4 weeks' time, and everyone will be occupied within a very short space of time.
What's the secret of the success of this place then, and what kind of mix of businesses have we got here now?
There's a whole mix really, right from homemade dog foods through to a nursery school, through to high-tech companies such as Cranage, through to people who build sports cars and race cars and sell them on to wealthy clients.
Excellent, which is great, isn't it?
Absolutely. So there's a whole mix, and it's a really nice community, and I think that's the success. It is a lovely community to work at.
And Mark Jones, with Shropshire, wearing your Shropshire Council hat, portfolio holder for economic development and growth, to see this happening and creating jobs and a vibrant atmosphere, I mean, it must be absolutely perfect.
I think it's a blueprint for what we're going to try and do in the rest of Shropshire. I mean, Shropshire is very much open for business, and we're trying to help businesses come to Shropshire. And I think the other thing that John's done is the excellent design. It's really lovely park, and I think he's created a community here, which I think is quite essential. And together with creating roughly 320 jobs here, it's fantastic. And we've got a site in Oswestry coming up soon, and we're hoping to do something similar there.
How important is it that we see these kind of developments in some of the market towns around Shropshire, and it's not all centralised around places like Shrewsbury then?
Yeah, I think that is part of our remit, is to not be Shrewsbury centric, and to bring everything into the rural areas. There are rural spots that are declining, and we need to get them back up to scratch. Certainly Market Drayton is doing very well, obviously Oswestry, and then we need to try and work down in the south of the area too. Craven Arms is very much crying out for something similar as well. Just getting the infrastructure ready to do that is one of the biggest,
which sometimes takes time, doesn't
it?
Yeah. And John, I mean, I've been to a fair few business parks and industrial estates over my career. This one looks different. It looks the style, the colour of the units. What? Just can you pinpoint what you've done differently here?
Well, it's a bit funky and it's a bit stealthy, and people come here not expecting it to be like it is. And it's quite open. If you look at the distance between that unit and the one across the road, there's a lot of space, there's a lot of greenery, and it feels fresh, and you can breathe as you walk through it, I've been told.
Have a lot of the clients that you've got here given you an idea of what they want for their units before you build them, or are they buying them off plan?
They buy them off plan. We build them in multiples of 1,000 square feet. So if we build a series of 7, a client will have a choice of either 1, 2, 3, 4 or 7,000 square feet, and we don't put the walls in the middle until they decide what they want.
Right. So, and I get that's obviously paid off.
Absolutely, yeah. Yep.
And Mark, going forward then, economic development challenges for Shropshire as we start looking ahead to 2024. Where are we at? How are we looking?
We're looking good. We've got Oswestry Innovation Park, which is going to be a key one to try and get going. I think, as we said, Craven Arms is one of the next targeted areas that we want to try and get a bit more housing and business down in the south of the community as well. I think they're crying out for it. We need that demand sorted. I think Bridge North is on the uprise as well, so we're trying to work with them to see what we can do as well. So
brilliant. Well, we're going to go and have an explore and meet some of your occupiers.
Excellent.
Thanks for your time, Jeff.
Have a good
Thanks
day.
very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, I tell you what, when it comes to soundproofing rooms to film in, they don't come much better than this, do they? I'm with Keith Richards now, Managing Director of Cranage EMC Testing, one of the largest units and longest established units on the estate. Keith, before we talk about your business, just tell us a bit about this room we're in here.
Okay, well, this environment here is a test chamber. It's called a semi-anechoic test chamber,
And it basically is calibrated to absorb radio frequencies, so that whatever we're measuring in here from electronic equipment in particular, then the frequencies will be captured and quantified precisely. So the environment to do that is quite expensive to set up, and it's a very precise technical instrument.
So are you testing products in here then that would yet to be unveiled on the market to make sure they're fit for purpose then? Is that the plan?
Usually, before products get onto the market, companies like ourselves will be involved to evaluate them for performance and whether they would comply with regulatory requirements, not just for the UK, but for European markets and global markets, in fact.
So what sort of things do you test then? Is it do you recreate climatic conditions or heat or light or?
Yeah, well, all those things, all the above. This particular one establishes a stable electromagnetic environment, so we can make the measurements of emissions. We can also generate disturbances in here to bombard the equipment and evaluate the performance of that equipment under those conditions. But we also have, within the building, we've got environmental chambers to assess the effects of temperature, pressure, humidity, vibration, altitude, and impact of solar radiation, for example, because that can have additional heating effects on products, which could potentially affect the reliability. So we've got a lot of other aspects, and we generally work in chambers which are set up for specific jobs.
I could have a role here then, because I'm quite good at creating disturbances, to be honest. Not that sort of disturbance, presumably. now listen, I don't want to get you into trouble by naming names, but can you just give us a flavour of some of the kind of products or industries or businesses that would use this facility then?
Yeah, well, we're not, really we're restricted to saying who they are, because the brand names are, some of them are, well known. But vacuum cleaners we're heavily into, whether that's for household or commercial or industrial vacuum cleaners, not just the ones you pull around the house, but the ones that you would sit on, potentially at the airports. But product-wise, it's not just the household appliance market, it's the medical equipment market, which some of the medical equipment is finding its way into home use. But we have evaluated products which find their way into the operating theatres. And then also industrial markets, food processing equipment, X-raying equipment that would be searching for foreign objects placed inside the food. So these require quite a deep technical understanding and precise facilities to evaluate them.
And some of them, how long would you typically be evaluating some of these things for? How long would they be on site with you for?
Well, a lot of the time it depends on exactly what the customer wants to do. Some of them just ask for a few hours or half a day, but in the main, typical program could be 2 or 3 days to several weeks.
What's the most exciting thing or unusual thing you've maybe tested in?
Oh my goodness, exciting things. They're all exciting, really. It's not particular any one particular thing. It's just the knowledge that this product has not seen the light of day yet as far as the market's concerned. So it's, for us as engineers, it's very exciting to be involved in that way.
So that's your background as an engineer. What's the history of the business then? When did you form it and where and why?
Okay, we started to form it when I was actually engaged as an engineer in Lancashire for many years of my life, design engineer from graduating, and then moved on to establishing a test bed once I'd realised that every design engineer in the country, when we enter the European Union, has got a massive challenge on their hands, and that is to how to deal with these regulations which effectively break down barriers to trade. So our stall really became set out to deal with that market. And we've been going now for 31 years.
And how long, because you were one of the first occupants of what is now the Tern Valley Business Park, you've seen the whole thing grow around you really, haven't you?
That's correct. We came to site out of necessity. We'd reached a point from working from farm buildings locally to we needed to expand and improve the quality of what we were doing, and so from around about the middle of 2013 we approached the developers of the estate and discussed our needs. And by December 2013, we had plans in with Shropshire County Council, and then came September 2014, the steelwork was already being bolted together, so we were firmly putting our roots in Market Drayton.
So nearly 10 years on from that then, Keith, have you still got room to grow here then? Are you full to capacity? Or?
Not full to capacity. Fortunately, when we bought the when we saw the estate, we purchased 1 acre from the developers, realising we only needed a half an acre, so we had to pull out all the money stops to actually get that extra that we didn't quite need at that time. But now
you're glad you did.
Glad we did, because we've already expanded onto another quarter of it, and we've got a quarter left and plans for that.
And Market Drayton a good place for you?
Fantastic. I would say that if Market Drayton had a technical college, it would be even better.
Never say never.
Never say never, exactly.
Fascinating business. Thanks for your time. Great to catch up with you.
You're welcome. Thanks,
Keith. Thanks a lot. So here we are now at Tern Valley Day Nursery. Now this wasn't built last time we came up here for Sbltv. It had just gone through the planning stages, but is now a thriving nursery. And Deborah's one of the directors here. This is your second site, isn't it? So
it is.
Wellington being your other one?
That's correct.
Why Market Drayton then?
It's my hometown. We moved here 25 years ago, my husband, myself and my 4 children. And we set up our first nursery in Wellington in Telford because the site was right over there. Felt that Market Drayton, really with the amount of houses and the building projects going around, could really do with a nursery, another nursery within the environment. And because of the way that we had designed our previous nursery, we wanted to do something a little bit different to what's already here. And so we went on to planning and looked at producing this one.
So what is different then here about it?
Compared to the other nurseries? I think the other nurseries are well established within the area, so they've been going for quite a few years. We themed our first nursery and we've themed this one. We looked at taking everything very mod cons all the way through, and we've got a massive designated sensory room. So we've identified that the amount of children that have got special educational needs now are slightly a little bit behind on their development, that we wanted to help with that. Our nursery in Wellington has been noticed for dealing with special educational needs, and we're hoping that this one becomes the same.
So give me an idea of the size and the scale of this place then.
Okay, so we've got 2 designated baby rooms downstairs with their own full fitted kitchen. We've then got a Rumpelstiltskin room, which is for our preschool children. Another toddler room, which is our Puss in Boots room. So everything is themed on Shrek. We've then got upstairs a full catering kitchen, so all the food is cooked fresh on site. And then a further 3 school classrooms upstairs, and plus a very large sensory room.
And does the fact that the business estate itself has grown so much, even in the time since you opened, helped from a business point of view? Because you've got lots of potential clients right on the doorstep here.
Absolutely, but when we first decided to go ahead with building a nursery during the pandemic, we looked at what site we wanted within here, because there was only actually a very few buildings that had been completed at the top there, and we chose this spot. So we were then starting build. We were very lonely down here all on our own, and then gradually the whole park has just started to develop. So yeah, we have got some children from different businesses here, but also we like the support that we can give them as well.
How easy is it to run a business like yours at the moment? Because there's lots of social challenges in the world at the moment, which I guess you're exposed to a lot of families who will tell you about what they're going through at the moment.
Absolutely. We are hoping that it has just been released by the council now that we've got the 2-year-old additional funding coming in for next year, which should help a lot of those families now that they will be able to obtain that. And that will be extended, and they'll have 1,140 hours come next year. So no, it's a slower process, but it's something that is massively going to help. We try and do everything that we can really for all of those families, different ways of using their funding and helping them out. but also making sure that the children get a 2-course cooked meal every single day, which is a massive help to these parents.
And talking of doing all that you can, I know that you are one of the leading lights involved with some of the fundraising activities that are going on. You mentioned you've got lots of friends locally now. Tell us about some of the fundraising work you're doing.
Okay, well, the biggest one at the moment, and we want as many people on board as we possibly can, is we want to get a defibrillator for the actual whole park. So we're not just talking about for nursery use, but for the park itself. At the moment, we're on track to raise enough for one. We're hoping we can go for 2. So we can have one at the top end of the business park, one down at the bottom end of the business park, and that means that everybody can absolutely access it. John, who is part of Matrix, who built the park, has agreed to not only site it for us, but also to help donate. So a lot of people are getting involved with this.
So if businesses want to know more about it or donate or speak to you about it in any way, what do they do?
Go onto the business page that we've already got set up. We're live on Facebook. It's all on there. We've put all the links on. So just hit Tern Valley Day Nursery, go onto there, you'll see the link. And yes, please donate.
Brilliant. Great to catch up with you. Thanks for your time.
You're more than welcome.
So our final port of call is Nexus Fitness. And I'm joined now by Katie, the owner. Hello.
Yep.
This is the calm before the storm, is it? So the evening rush is about to start.
Very much so, yes. Yeah.
How seasonal and how different is your timetable from one day to the next?
Well, to be honest with you, we're not sure yet. So we've been open for just over 12 months and we've been very much like this. Well, like this since we started. So we're not sure. But evenings and mornings are our busy time.
So what was the thinking about why you wanted to open here and why now?
So off the back of COVID, our mission is physical health, obviously, but mental health and bringing people together. So we wanted to find like a central location where Market Drayton people could come, get fit together, and it all sort of puzzle pieces fitted together exactly the right time. We found this at the right time.
And I'm presuming this is your background, your career before this, is it?
Well, I've got a degree in graphic design.
No then, okay.
And that was my first path. So, no, so probably about 5 years. 5 years I've been doing this for.
And how's it gone? I know you say early days at the moment, but
so much better than we ever planned, forecasted for. So many friendly members. We couldn't have picked a better bunch of members to join us. Can't believe how well we're going to start off with.
Did you come here then because you knew how the estate here was growing, or are you looking at the wider Market Drayton area then for your customers?
A little bit of both really. Because I'm Market Drayton through and through, we've been watching the development since the very, very start, since way back at the very start. And then looking for places. We couldn't find anything. These cropped up at the perfect time. Just all came together.
And what about the workforce here then? Is it self-employed people? Is it employed? Is it a mixture?
We've got a bunch of self-employed coaches. They all work for themselves. One of them's my mum, so she was roped in. In the future, we hope to bring in, these are all Market Drayton local people. We hope to bring in a little bit wider in the future.
Excellent. And in general terms, what's the industry like at the moment? You know, we've been through, as I was saying to one of the previous occupants, been a strange old time these last few years. How has that affected this industry?
I think very, very much going back to the back of COVID, everybody was on their own, getting fit in their living rooms, in their kitchens, in front of a screen, and now we're all coming together. It's the community that's building. It's the community that brings people here and keeps them here.
And there's obviously quite a community feel on the estate from talking to some people here today. There's fundraising activities going. Do you know a lot of the neighbours?
Yes. Yeah, in fact, when we first moved in, we did our first aid training with some of the local girls just across the road. We didn't know them before, but we came together, had our first aid training together. So it's very, very much community-based.
Excellent. What are the plans going forward then?
Without giving too much away.
Go on, give me everything.
So in terms of our client base, we're hoping to expand a little bit. So we're hoping to pull in clients from further afield now that we're established. And in terms of staffing, we're hoping to look a little bit further afield, perhaps bring in some apprentices and go from that side.
Excellent. Well, I better let you get ready for the evening rush.
Thank you very much.
So, nice to see you. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Award-winning family-run business GWR Fasteners in Oswestry has taken on 3 new apprentices to add to their growing team. Amy and Jasmine have both started their Level 3 apprenticeship training to be customer service specialists, while Jess is tackling her AAT Level 3 diploma in accounting, specialising in metric and imperial fasteners, bar and tooling, as well as manufacturing precision components in-house. GWR Fasteners has taken on several apprentices over the past 2 years across engineering, sales and accountancy. Telford-based Vauxhall dealership Greenhouse Vauxhall has won a prestigious Customer Excellence Award. The Customer Excellence Award is awarded by Vauxhall to recognise their top retailers when it comes to the quality of service they provide to their customers. It's presented to just 28 Vauxhall dealers each year to those who routinely go the extra mile to help customers, recognising the hard work that has gone into their all-round service. And finally, Shrewsbury-based Pipe Kit is partnering with Shrewsbury Colleges Group as the independent pipe systems and drainage distributor sets out to support the next generation of local plumbers. Pipe Kit will be sponsoring the plumbing and gas department at Shrewsbury College on an ongoing basis and will be providing tools, materials and technical presentations. One of the key components to the partnership will be monthly technical presentations conducted alongside industry manufacturers to offer real-life knowledge and experience to the course. That's your business news for this month. There's more online at shropshirebiz.com and also shropshirelive.com.
Award-winning news, views and analysis. That's what you get with Shropshire Business Magazine. We celebrate the county's successes. We get the inside stories from our innovators and entrepreneurs, and we cover the big talking points across all corners of the county. We're proud to have been named Midlands Magazine of the Year and proud too to be a founding partner of Shropshire Business Live TV. Download the latest edition of our magazine from our website right now and drop us a line to find out how we could be putting your company's story into our headlines.
Shropshire Live. News and entertainment for Shropshire. Shropshire Live.
Welcome back to Shropshire Business Live TV. It's time now for our second visit to the Shropshire Distillery in Ellesmere. I was talking earlier with Emma Glynn, the co-owner, about their move to new premises on Ellesmere Business Park, and Chris was given a guided tour. Let's take a look.
So Amy, we've had a chat with Carl, we've found out your journey, and here we are then on Ellesmere Business Park. Tell us a little bit about the exact location.
So we're just half a mile out of the town centre, so much more accessible for people within walking distance, on a bus route and on the main route down from Whittington and Oswestry as well. So it's just much easier location for us to get to.
Should we go inside and have a look around?
Yeah, please do.
Brilliant, come on.
Yeah.
So Emma, tell us about where we are now then.
So we've come in the front door and we've come to the reception area where we meet and greet our customers, and we've got the retail site. If they're coming for an experience, then we'd welcome them with a welcome drink and then show them through into the bar area. But then behind us here is the distillery where all the production.
Let's take a look. Let's go and have a look then. So this is where the magic happens, Emma.
This is where the magic happens. So
wow.
Whether this is the right way to word it, but these are what I call my working girls. These are the hard working girls of the distillery. So you've got Anne and you've got Jean. So historically distillers name their stills after influential females. Most of ours are females within our family. So Anne is one of Gareth's grandmothers and Jean is one of my grandmothers. So this is where all the distillation happens.
And how many bottles do you get out of a batch then?
So each batch we get about 80 to 100 bottles that we produce.
And how long does that take to do?
We take all day to distill ours. So we have the methodology where we turn the heat right down and cook it slowly rather than on a higher heat. So it takes its time and it's got much more copper contact, which helps with a smoother gin at the end as well.
So you've created your batch, then you're for the bottling.
Yeah, so bottling
and then packing
happens, on here.
Okay.
So everything is quite manual in this distillery as well. So there's no machines. We've only got the bottling machine. So that works on like a vacuum out of the tanks. So once it's bottled, they get hand corked, and then they go onto this area here for labelling.
So then people then this area, so people can also buy the gin as well from you.
They can, yeah. So now we're more central and easier to access. We're opening up as a retail Thursday to Saturday, so people can call in if they want to purchase bottles, gift vouchers, book onto an event, that sort of thing.
So as well as that, then people can come and enjoy gin here and also have a go at making it themselves. Should we go and take a look?
Yeah, please do, yeah.
So behind us then is the bar area where you were talking to Carl before. Tell us a little bit about that.
So we've decided to make more of an effort with the bar area in open up as a tap house as well for the town. So once or twice a month we're going to open the doors. People can come and enjoy a drink, a bit of a different vibe, and enjoy some of our gins and spirits.
So what type of gins have you got that I can see on the shelf? It's quite colourful, isn't it, and all lit up?
Yeah, so we've got our core range where we've got our dry, spice, cherry and pink peppercorn, and we've got a grapefruit and hop that we introduce. But we do introduce special editions throughout the year. So you can see apple and honey on there that you mentioned before, which is our spring release. And at the moment, we've got our 2 Christmas limited editions out, which is a cranberry and clementine and a frankincense and myrrh.
So I'm guessing they're proving quite popular at the moment then.
They are, yeah, very popular. And the frankincense and myrrh, people I think quite intrigued by it. And so, yeah, they're going down really well.
So then we've got the gin school side of things. Let's go around and take a look at this. Tell us a little bit about this area then.
So we've got the gin schools. So when we first started the business, because of how the business started, we always knew we wanted to open the distillery up to the general public so they could actually come and see where we make it, and they can come and make their own as well. So yeah, we tutor them through, we give them some guidance and advice, but basically it's down to them, and we encourage them to get creative with their flavours.
So that I can see on the wall and along the side there, you've got all the different elements that would be put into flavour a gin.
Yeah, so our botanical wall is an ever-growing botanical wall, and it can be quite seasonal as well. We do try and grow botanicals ourselves, but these are the botanicals from our stores that we use in our own products as well. But yeah, it's ever-growing, so it started off with just one side at the last distillery, and it's moving around. So, and if people come along and they say, oh, I thought you might have had, we had some gentlemen mention something called long peppers. We then got them in and added them to the botanical wall as well.
So when people come along to a session then, do they put their own in? Do they get guidance from you guys?
Yeah, we'll give them a bit of guidance and advice with, say, the core botanicals. So we've got 4 core botanicals that we use, which is juniper, coriander, orris root and angelica root, and we give them a bit of guidance on how much of those to put in. But then beyond that, we say it's what you like, it's your gin, and we'll help and guide them with quantities and things like that, depending on what it is they want to achieve with it.
So when we were in the other part then, we saw the large stills. So these are the smaller ones
So
then.
these are the babies of the family,
And they're
yes.
still named, aren't they?
They're all named. So Eileen here on the front is the very first still that we purchased, and where we started in the gin shed, which is at the bottom of the garden at home back in 2018, Eileen was the very first still that we purchased, set up on the kitchen worktop, developing. So yeah, they're all named mainly after the ladies within the family. We've got another couple that we added in later on that have been named by our clients.
So how many people then can you fit into this area at one time if they're coming along?
So our gin school, we've got 8 workstations, so that's up to 16 people. Our tours and cocktails, we work up to about 20 people. We were going to extend and make it bigger when we moved here, but we felt that actually people quite like the smaller groups. They don't feel overwhelmed, and it allows Gareth and I and the staff to give people the attention that they need and require without feeling overwhelmed with too many people.
Absolutely, so you can come along, have a go, make their own gin.
Yeah.
How long does a session normally last?
So a gin school is 3 hours. So they come in, they get a welcome drink, we introduce them to their workstations, talk them through everything. They get to enjoy plenty of gin and tonics as they're going as well. But yeah, 3 hours for the gin school.
Well, listen, Emma, thank you so much for showing us around today. It's absolutely brilliant, and what a great space you've got.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for your time.
Brilliant. Thank you, Emma.
Thank you.
So there you go, that's the reigning Shropshire Small Business of the Year, the Shropshire Distillery at Ellesmere. And as luck would have it, they were mentioning that they use local products, and one of the ones they use is right here on the table here, Wenlock Spring. Now Stephen Tuck is here with us from Wenlock Spring to talk about a specific campaign you've got going on for Christmas. But before we get to that, just tell us a bit about you and your job and your role with the company.
Well, I've been at Wenlock now for, I think, just over 20 years. I came in initially to look after the water cooler side of the business. We've got a we are the biggest bottler of 19-litre water cooler bottles in the country, the biggest independent. But we've also got a cooler base locally around the country as well. We service lots of sites. And I came into the business for that, but over the years it's morphed into other things as well. One of them being this side of the business, which is we call it small pack, but it's in effect glass and plastic bottles that we produce.
Because people are becoming increasingly specific about the containers that they want their drinks in these days, aren't they? So.
We do try wherever we can to use recycled product wherever possible. I mean, a lot of the plant is self-sustaining. We use miscanthus to use to power the plant in various ways, so that's quite a good thing. So yeah.
Give us an idea of the scale of the business then, Wenlock Spring. I mean, how many people do you employ?
It's 30 plus for sure. I mean, it was set up, I think there is a little bit of debate about exactly how many years, but 30 years is about right. As I said, I've been with them now for 20 years, but 30 years the business has been running. Now, initially they started out in a very small shed, just bottling literally by hand, but as time's progressed, we've moved on into lots of things. And in the last 18 months or so, we've started to introduce cans, water in cans. And that's really to meet market forces, really. That was, as you said, that, people are very selective about what they want, and how they want to present the product to their customers. So that's why we moved into that. That's been really successful. We've found that, particularly in the summertime when kind of outdoor events, the cans were really important for that. But also we've started a co-pack. We do co-packing for other people. We've always co-packed for other people, but never flavoured drinks.
Okay.
It's we were strictly water, but we've slightly gone now into flavoured drink. Not yet our own Wenlock brand. That's coming soon. Hopefully.
Excellent. Is that an exclusive you're giving us here? This is good.
It's not a secret, but we're still working on developing it. And actually, it's such a minefield to know, where to slot into the marketplace, really.
And which flavours to use.
Exactly. Well, there are some ideas floating around about maybe something a little bit different too. But then again, will that sell? So it's kind of we're still looking at it.
Work in progress on that one.
But we are co-packing flavoured drinks for other people. One or two household names as well. So
excellent. So all going really well with the business. Now we are accustomed at this time of year, as we approach Christmas, to an anti-drink drive campaign on our screens.
That's right. Then it's not a new thing.
No, but this is new for you guys to actually.
Oh yeah.
So this is a partnership with West Mercia Police, isn't it? The only one for the road. We've got a picture here. In fact, there it is on the back of one of the trucks.
Yes, these are actually our local delivery trucks that deliver the water bottles, the 19-litre bottles, as well as others to restaurants, etc.
So how's this come about then, the partnership with West Mercia Police?
It was really an initiative that we wanted to sort of do some promotion, as everybody does this time of year, and we did think it was a good way of highlighting what is, something that's, I think, is a bit misunderstood, really. People don't really know the limits. So, that's really the idea behind it, was just to promote non-drinking in one way at Christmas time. It's not, in other words, it's not worth the risk. That was the incentive behind it, really.
And how does the campaign manifest itself then? We see the ads on the back of vehicles there, we've got coasters, we've got all sorts of things. What else have you done as part of the campaign?
Well, we're working closely with West Mercia Police to gain the publicity and get people to know not just regionally, but we're also dealing with our specific wholesalers throughout the country as well. So all the wholesalers receive a number of these packs that include tent cards, posters and beer mats, and then they're distributed to participate in outlets, pubs, restaurants, etc. Primarily the focus is obviously West Mercia, but we are extending it nationally, in fact. And we're getting some really good kind of national press feedback as well. As I said, I don't think it's anything new, a drink driving campaign, but it's something that people haven't really spent much time with, particularly with water as the alternative. So.
What's the feedback been like so far from venues?
Brilliant, yeah. A lot of places are really keen to encourage this, even though they sell alcohol, which is, to me, is always a bit of a strange one. You wonder why, but I think it's, you know, social responsibility is the big thing for everybody. So they're buying into that really well. It's been great. We've gained so much publicity from it. It's brilliant.
And I know we run an article on Shropshire Live, I think it was last week, Philip Dunn, also the local MP for South Shropshire's backing it as well, isn't he?
Yes, he's always good at kind of aligning himself with local issues, and particularly local initiatives where people are pushing for something like this. He's been a good advocate of what we've done. So yeah.
And I think the thing is, you know, you say you're surprised that maybe that some people take this on board because it's going into pubs, but actually pubs these days increasingly are not about alcohol, are they? The broad range of products that pubs and bars want to stock now. You know, whether it's non-alcoholic beers to, I mean, it used to be the default, didn't it? 10, 15 years ago, you'd go to the pub and you'd just have an alcoholic drink.
Well, I think now that there's so much choice non-alcoholic, both, you know, not just in the kind of what you'd call soft drinks, but also there's some brilliant non-alcoholic beers and spirits these days as well. So there is plenty of choice, and I think that's really what we were trying to highlight, that yes, it is about water, but it's also about highlighting the fact that you don't have to drink alcohol, you know, and particularly with the driving as well. I mean, that's, you know, an absolute no-no, isn't it? As we all know, but people frequently get that kind of, they're never sure how much they should or can, and it depends.
It depends on what you've eaten as well, everything like that.
Depends on the person, your metabolism, etc., etc.
So well, I like your message that you put on one of your bits of artwork here to dear designated driver. You know, there's no way of knowing how much you can drink to ensure you're safe to drive, and it's right, isn't it?
I mean, you know, the Scandinavian countries, as you probably know, have a zero tolerance. I'm not sure tolerance is a word, but zero drink. And therefore, everybody knows where they are. Where we don't quite have that yet, and hopefully it will come, because I think then everybody knows. But I think what we're trying to highlight is that if you're unsure, then go for a soft drink, in particular when it looks springy.
Absolutely. You've mentioned already then that there's flavoured drinks potentially coming in more next year. What else have you got?
Well, yes.
What else have you got coming up over the next year, 2 years? I don't know how far in the future
How did you
look
work then in advance on what plans you've got?
In terms of
the business, how far do you look forward when you're working on a
12 months to 18 months at least. We've got some sort of plans going on at the moment for development of the actual plant itself. You know, that's a major investment and also a major logistical issues as well, getting the right equipment. But you know, that's to sort of up our production in response to demand, really, from our industry contacts. Really, we have a certain reputation, you know, and we are a fiercely independent bottler and distributor. So you know, it's a way of just ensuring our place, really. So,
and putting Shropshire on the map. You and the Olympic Games are doing wonders for Mush Wenlock, aren't you?
That's kind, brilliant. So, we're doing our best. Yeah.
I mean, do you find that that's an important part of the business? The fact that it's the traceability. To
Definitely. Provenance, particularly with the higher end kind of restaurants and hotels, who we supply a lot of the kind of Michelin starred and fine hotels throughout the country, not just here, but nationally and some overseas as well. We find that knowing where the product's from is critical for them. And so that's why we kind of invite people, you know, colleagues, industry colleagues, to the site to see what it is. We're very isolated, which, you know, and the water's underneath us, you know, it's a good a good thing to have. So yeah.
And no shortage of supplies either. That's the important thing.
Not when
isn't
it
it?
rains.
So,
No.
exactly. No.
It's called. We don't call it rain. We call it stock in the ground.
I like it. I can see what you mean. Liquid gold from your point of view, isn't it?
Well, yeah.
Well, Stephen, good luck with the campaign.
Yeah.
Hope
Brilliant.
everything
Thank
goes
you.
well,
Brilliant
and great to see a local company collaborating with the.
That's great. Well,
law
thank you
enforcement
for your interest first and foremost, and
absolute pleasure.
We try to do what we can, obviously. So yeah.
Well, folks, that's pretty much it, isn't it, Chris?
It
for
is.
Shropshire Business Live, our November show. We've been out and about. We really have, haven't we? So.
It's been a good packed show. Don't forget as well, we've got Sbltv Knowledge if you want to head along to that. All the business advice, and if you've got questions or you could post on it or get in touch with us if there's something you want to see or share some business knowledge, we'd love to hear from you. sbltvknowledge.co.uk. And of course, Carl, always we're on the lookout for content for this show as well.
We certainly are, and we will be back with a Christmas show in December, a little bit different, where we're a bit more relaxed. There may or may not be a Christmas jumper or two in the studio. If you've got a Christmas message that you'd like us to help spread, then please do send it along to us before the end of the first week of December, if you can do, and we'll throw it into our running order.
We'd love to hear from you. info@sbltv.co.uk, or just get in touch via our social media channels.
That leaves us with just one thing to do on this edition, and that is to introduce you to our 90 Seconds with Guest, who's going to be talking us out of the show. Sian Brennan Todd is her name. She's new to Shropshire, but she's certainly not new to TV cameras. She is a presenter, a dance instructor, a host, and also a multi-award winning cheerleader. Based now in Shrewsbury, so we thought, why not give her a real welcome to Shropshire and grill her with some tough questions. So
absolutely.
Here you go. We'll leave you with Sian's answers. We'll see you in December.
See you next month.
Your greatest strength in the workplace?
Positivity. I do love spreading positivity and making people happy.
Your biggest weakness?
I've got a few. Really listening to what other people say.
Qualities that you look for in friends and colleagues?
Loyalty, fun, adventurous.
Pet hates?
People who moan.
Biggest decision you've made in your career?
Ooh, probably going to America to cheerlead over in America.
Social media platforms of choice?
Instagram.
How do you think your colleagues would describe you?
Fun, loud, a laugh.
Biggest challenge in your job?
Having 3 children while running a business.
If you were an emoji, what would you be?
A big smiley face.
Things you wish you'd known when you were younger?
That things can take time and to enjoy the process.
Early bird or night owl?
Night owl.
Gym workout or TV box set?
Gym workout.
Favourite musician?
Ed Sheeran. Beyonce. Oh, I don't know, there's too many. Probably Beyonce.
Favourite movie?
Cool Runnings.
Glass of wine, spinach smoothie or something else?
Cup of tea, always. Always tea.
Dream dinner party guest?
1.
As many as you like.
Probably my grandparents, all of them.
Your proudest achievement?
Probably, well, obviously my children, but in business, I would say probably winning the national championships 5 times in a row in cheerleading.
Best thing about Shropshire?
It's beautiful, it's gorgeous, the scenery is stunning.
And finally, is it Shrewsbury or Shrewsbury?
Oh, the pressure. I don't know. It depends who I'm talking to. Shrewsbury.